Hello everyone. I've got 4 pens here, 3 Watermans and a Sheaffer, and we're going to see just how these pens are going to make me draw. I'll start with the Sheaffer, and this is a Sheaffer Lifetime pen with a nice, if I remember correctly, a firm nib. This is typical Sheaffer. It's also a very smooth, rounded nib, and it's making me draw a smooth, rounded dame. How about a dame? Red lips, ruby red lips. Come on. I don't know where her nose is. This one is just very smooth, as you can tell. Well, you can't tell. You have no idea how smooth it is. Just have to trust me on that one. It's this particular pen does not have any qualms about being pushed around because it's a Sheaffer. And I think they're deep down underneath their sadistic tendencies. They are actually masochists underneath, because they do build a pen that is abusable. You can really, for the most part, press down really hard and not have to worry. I'm making a Medusa. That's what I'm doing. These are snakes in her hair. See, it's making. I'm zoomed in here. I should zoom out so you see more of what I'm doing here. So the Medusa, and this is after her head has been torn off or whatever happened. Did she turn to stone? I forget. In this alternate universe, her head was torn off her body, and her snakes lived on, eyeball. So there's Medusa, drawn with a Sheaffer. Now, again, to take my word for it, Sheaffers like to be abused. There's just something about them that says, push down really hard. Yeah, you know I like it. Push down really, really hard. Watermans, on the other hand, they do not have a masochistic or a sadistic side to them. They're very fun-loving, happy pens. They may be a little bit old-fashioned. Of all the pens, I think they were the most old-fashioned. Their advertisements had men wearing wing collars long before detachable wing collars were out of vogue. But they're scientists with their manicured hands and their, what's the word for mustache? Waxed mustaches, and whatever their sartorial splendiferousness was. It always seemed like they were a little bit out of touch with the world. And I think that's one of the reasons why they kept sticking with flexible nibs for so long, because that's old-fashioned. That was oldie-timey stuff, and that was what they were all about. Now, I don't actually do anything that even resembles research. That's what the interweb is for. If you want facts, go to the interweb. If you want fun, go to YouTube. So, in this neighborhood of the alternate universe, they do not sell combs, or mirrors for that matter. So people put on their white tie and detachable collar and their shirt studs in their shirts, but they don't check to see how they look before they leave. So that's why this guy, I guess, has no clue. This pen is a 100-year pen. This was Waterman's version of the Sheaffer Lifetime pen, and this was meant to last 100 years, and it didn't. These 100-year pens had clear plastic ends to them, which were for some reason considered attractive. I don't know who came up with that lame-brained idea, but someone did, and the plastic they used deteriorates. Why can't I say that word? Crumbles over time, and it's just a weird thing. I was describing it earlier on a different YouTube video, that you don't see it when it's in your pocket, because this part is hidden. You don't see it when the cap is on the back, because it's hidden. You only see it when you're the 28 seconds that it takes you to put the cap on the back of the pen. Or maybe when you're filling it, you see it and you say, oh my God, what a beautiful transparent plastic thingy that pen has. More likely you said, I wonder why they put that plastic thingy there. So anyway, this nib is, to make this nib do what I want it to do, I do have to apply more pressure than I feel I should. It's fighting back at me, it's pushing back. And to make this pen work, you do have to abuse it a little bit more than I would like to. It's just the way it is with this pen. Now, some of you might be saying, well, no, it doesn't want to be pushed that hard. And I tell you politely, no, it does. It does. I'm not harming the pen. It just takes more effort to do that. This pen, if I remember correctly, this one does not take as much energy. The same amount of energy that I was using on the other pen produces a fat line, much faster. This is a different kind of a nib, of course, more flexible nib, but I can get the flexiness without the effort that the other one was giving me. So this is another pen that is happy to give in. You know, if the Waterman pen was somehow miraculously turned into soldiers, if they were captured, they'd tell the enemy where the secret submarine pens were without, even getting the comfy pillow treatment. They would say, oh, no, I'll tell you. They just give in right away. That other one, this one didn't. This one would put up a little bit of a fight, but most Watermans that are flexible are pretty darn flexible. And no need for the bamboo shoots up the fingernails with Waterman. They just even mention the word torture and they'll tell you everything they want, everything you want to know. Now this is a Waterman pen that, if you look carefully at it, you can see that the nib has had damage to it. And I knew that it had damage to it when I saw it on eBay, but I was wearing my rose-colored glasses and saw it, thinking that I can fix that. And I know it still looks like crap, but it writes okay. It might, with more tweaking and more burnishing and more plier straightening and more teeth clenching maneuvering, I might be able to make it look a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to actually write any better. I think it's still going to write or draw as well as it does here. I might be able to get it to be just a tiny bit thinner on the downstroke, but this nib is so broad on the downstroke that I don't think you benefit. And anytime you, I don't care how good you are at fixing pens, anytime you tweak or pull or yank or polish or prod or do anything like that, there is a risk of breaking it. This pen and this nib are more than 100 years old. And how would you like to be pulled and yanked and plied if you were 100 years old? You wouldn't. I'm just telling you. Now this pen, even though you think that it's giving in, there is a really great amount of spring to it, and that spring does have resistance to it. You hear the thunder and lightning out there in the background. It just started to, well, you hear the thunder. You saw the lightning, perhaps. Anyway, these pens, you know what, I don't have to say this again because I'm sure you know my dialogue, my monologue by heart, but these pens are all so different from each other, and that's why I need so many, because not because I want to draw in different ways, but because they want me to draw in different ways. The pen is guiding my hand. It's, you know, I mean, I'll remember which pen has the sort of nib I want to use, but when it's in my hand, when I make that choice, the pen continues to make choices for me. Yes, I know it sounds like I'm even more cowardly and pliable than this Waterman is because I'm allowing a pen to tell me what to do, but that's the fun of these pens, is that you want the pen to tell you what to do. And yes, even the slightest mention of torture, I would tell anyone where the submarine pens were. I have no idea where they are, by the way, and, you know, but I'd make up a good story. You know, Main Street, well, you turn left on Main Street, you go about 3 blocks, and then you turn right, and then you're on Hereford Street. Well, Hereford Street, you know, you go past the missile base. You know, we don't have a missile base anywhere near us, but that won't keep me from telling that story. You know, I actually don't have any secrets worth telling, so someone that tortures me is, yes, I drew that picture with a Waterman pen from 1920. That all you have to say? That's all I have to say. So this pen, even though it looks like crap, I mean, the nib looks like crap. You know, it's bent in like 4 different places. And before I fixed it this much, it was really in bad shape. But as you can see, I got it to go. And it makes really fun little lines. This would make any artist happy. Do I have time for one more pen, different pen? We'll try. I'm gonna play with the pen. Here's a pen I bought from a friend of mine, and I paid a lot of money for this pen. I paid about $200 more than I thought I should have to pay for this pen, just because of the nib that it has. And you can call me crazy, and I am crazy, I will admit it. But this nib, it's a Sheaffer nib, and it has the springiest little return on it. And this is a pen that I'm almost afraid to use because it's so delicate, and it's really, this is a 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 5,000 kind of a nib. You see these kinds of nibs on Victorian gold dip pen pens, but you don't see them very often on fountain pens. I have maybe had passed through my hands, either that I've kept or sold to other people, maybe 7 or 8 of them in 30 years of doing business. And this is one of them. And I hardly ever use it because I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid that I'm going to break it. And I had a pen very similar to this that was a Swan pen, and it's now in the hands of a calligrapher friend of mine in Boston, and I asked if he could bring it over and I could visit it, and he let me try it, and I still had the same feeling. I felt that I was going to break it. I was not worthy. That's what I felt like. My abilities were not worthy of the pen that he bought from me, and he sometimes feels the same way with that. He doesn't use that pen for his calligraphy, but he uses it to just wow himself, not at his talent, but at the line and the springiness of the nib. And that's really a nice way to look at these pens, is to, admit to yourself that the pen is better than you are when it happens. This pen, even though it's a Sheaffer, and even though we know that Sheaffers like to be abused, this one scares me. And I'm drawing with it, which normally I wouldn't do. It's a pen that I would use only for calligraphy, really. And what I like about these kind of nibs is it snaps right back to zero really, really quick. And not that many fountain pens do that. They get thin, but they don't get thin as quickly. The nibs, the tines go back together quick, but the ink somehow remains on the end of the pen, and there's a little tiny bit of residue left, and it somehow makes a slightly sloppy kind of a line. And I'll end with just this one. This is a really nice Wahl Eversharp pen, and now it's lined up. The lever and the clip and the nib are all lined up. This one is a really nice springy, oops, not supposed to do that, springy nib too. This is a pen that is similar to this one. It's one of those 1 in 1,000 kind of nibs. Maybe not 1 in 1,000. This is 1 in 500 maybe. It has a pretty quick return back to zero, and this is a pen that I would probably not draw with. I would probably just write with this, because going in this direction, going in my exuberance and my Strom und Drang of drawing, I might accidentally press down too hard going that way, and this pen, I don't think the pen would be damaged, but it might rip the paper or maybe splatter some ink. So this is a pen that I use for calligraphy, because when I'm doing calligraphy, the lines are standardized. This is another Sheaffer. The return here is slow, but this is still another pen that I would use not for drawing but for calligraphy. because of its very sharp point. Back to the first pen. This is the one that wants to be abused. Yeah, it still wants to be abused. So I'll do that after I turn off the camera here, because that's something that we do in private. So thank you for watching. Toodaloo.